there's one analogy where how you treat your body, it reflects your universe as well. Hi, I would like to welcome to the show Richard. He is a Reiki practitioner, shamanic meditator, and a martial artist. And hi, Richard. I'm glad that you are here.
Thank you for having me.
So, for the first question is like, how or what triggered your spiritual awakening?
I think the major event would be back when I was about 17. I'd been into magic and meditation for a while, and it was probably about the January time, so it was kind of winter time, probably not long after the solstice, but I wasn't really aware of that at the time. And I'd had a couple of astral projection experiences, just random, and this was just out there.
Did you pop out of your body or?
Yeah. So I knew what was happening because I had one or two before, and before I know it, I was over at the time I thought it was the North Pole, but it wasn't the North Pole. It was mountains and ice, but there were people there, and it was like a circle. Solo practitioner, and very new to all this. I didn't really understand what that was, but it was like they called me there somehow.
So you attended this
I didn't know.
ceremony, or that's after you pop off your body? So is this the ceremony that you attended that popped off your body, or this is after you popped off?
Yeah, this is where I traveled to. And obviously it was like my astral sight, so everything was kind of blue.
Oh, wow.
It was always very vivid. And then next thing I know, I'm a dragon. Whoa, what's going on? And then I'm straight up through the atmosphere and have to fight this really bad, don't want to say demonic, but it had evil intentions.
More like dark entities.
And I get no idea what it is to this day. And it was almost like I was summoned there to help this thing, whatever it was. And for me, that was when I knew what it was. It was the dragon soul, and I've kind of been leaning towards that a little bit. But for me, that was definitely spiritual awakening. I was like, "What's all this?
What's going on?" So, what were you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
So, what I was about to ask is like, what were you before this awakening?
I was just curious. And so I sort of started going into magic and meditation. Just started martial arts. I was only about 17 at the time. So very new to everything. I hadn't really found my path, so to speak. I was sort of trying to find who I was in that sense. And that obviously was a big wake-up call. That was, this is what I am.
Somehow it's weird because we almost have the same spiritual awakening. Because mine is like, I think I told this story a couple of times before that I pop off my body while I was sleeping. Then suddenly they let you decide, are you gonna leave or are you gonna stay? Then same thing. I saw a dark entity. Then they decide what are you gonna do with it. So almost the same thing, but that's another story. So anyway, so on in terms of, because when you start your spiritual awakening, you have this event that triggered you for your awakening, and so you're starting to get curious. So my question would be is like, when did you start receiving your guidance, and what form do they come on your experience?
Very much by myself. I didn't have a mentor or a teacher or anything like that. So literally just read as many books as possible. And there wasn't much on at the time. This is going back in 20 years. Or starseeds on incarnates, which is quite prevalent now. you know,
Mm-hmm.
you can quick Google search and you can come up with loads
A
of
lot,
information
yeah.
about it. So it's quite a long path.
It's okay.
It's, you know, lots of meditation, you know, different things. Life obviously kind of gets in the way a little bit.
So more like a clear sentience, right? So it just comes that you have to read this book or something. So right now,
Yeah.
do you what kind of guidance do you get? Do you get telepathically? Do you hear a voice, or do you get insights or intuition that you have to do this? Something like that.
I'd say I've always had quite strong intuition. I've always trusted my gut, but now I've developed strong bond, working relationship with spirit guides that I use telepathy. I believe most dragon souls do. So it's not so much a voice. Feelings are very important when it comes to dragons. I'm an empath, so
Mm-hmm.
that helps. I think that's part of being a starseed. Most people are empaths,
Yeah.
which can be very difficult to live with in this modern world. So that definitely is where I am now. But I didn't have that at the start. I was on my own. You do kind of meet the odd like-minded person, but in terms of trying to discover who I was and what it all meant, it took years to discover all that.
They say when the student's ready, the master will appear in whatever shape or form. So
Sure.
on those 20 years, is there a time that you receive a guidance that you are hesitant to do, then it turned out into a wonderful experience?
Probably when I decided to do Reiki,
Mm-hmm.
I'd been working with my guides, my main guide,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years, and then I decided to do Reiki, and she came and joined me for that, which was absolutely insane,
Okay.
in a good way. I don't know if you know much about Reiki, but obviously you get attuned to, you know, the energy, and all your chakras and stuff are aligned, and that was just magic to be working with in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and then to have this massive confirmation and this massive dose of love to go with it when I got my attunement for Reiki 1 was just, yeah, it was unreal.
Oh,
I was
wow.
just like, okay, this is good. This is obviously what I was meant to do.
So when you received Reiki, did you apply it to someone other than you?
Yeah, I've used it to heal people. Yeah,
Oh, there you
I don't do it professionally at the moment.
go. Mm-hmm.
I'm level 2 now, and I've done
Mm-hmm.
a few supplementary courses, you know, working with crystals and a few additional techniques in the last couple of years. But I've had a lot of positive feedback on my clients, and I've done distance healing, but I do use it for Gaia as well.
Yep.
So a bit, you know, light work. You know, you don't have to be Reiki to do light work, obviously, but it helps.
Mm-hmm.
So I do channel a lot of energy into the earth.
More like grounding and
Yeah,
everything.
sure. Yeah. Trying to help with the ascension. You know, trying to build that positive energy.
So in terms of light work, what kind of light worker? Because there's a lot of light workers and light workers duty and everything, and some of us pick a lot of multiple duties or responsibilities at a time. So in your experience, which part did you feel like because there's a lot of out there. So I'm not sure I could remember all of them. Like there's like light warriors, there's grid workers and everything. There's healers, there's teachers. In those categories, what do you think you are fitting in and probably going to in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say more of like warrior, more of a protector. But I've just mentioned, you know, a little bit of the grid work, a bit of general light work. I've always been drawn to protection stuff. Yeah, protection magic, martial artist. I was even in the military for a while
Yeah, wow, wow.
as a soldier. So physically, I've always been protective, spiritually as well. Most of my magic practice tends to involve protection, and you can use Reiki in that as well. You can use it for protection. So again, just ties in quite nicely with, it's a bit of a balance,
Mhm.
a healer and a warrior.
So technically,
And
your
it's
martial arts could be your like workout per se, something like that. Are you
sure.
starting any martial arts school soon or
Not at the
planning?
moment,
Not at
no,
the
just go to my own club. Well, it's not my own club, but yeah, I'm not a teacher of it.
Okay. So I heard you have a shamanic meditation. Can you tell me more about it and what's the difference between shamanic meditation and conventional meditation?
Yeah, it's just a guided meditation. So I'm not a shaman by any stretch of imagination,
Mm.
but I do find the guided meditations very useful to meet spirit guides, work with them in that. I started that again over 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and that did help me go through stuff at the time,
Mm-hmm.
as well as trying to find out who I was and what I'm doing.
Oh, wow.
And again, I think it was about 2016. I was sort of listening to my intuition. I was guided back to doing it. I've done it for years and years,
Mm.
and that's when I started working with the dragons. Done sort of animal spirit guides and stuff in the past, but then 2016, 17, it changed to dragons. It was like, whoa,
Oh, wow.
that was a big change, and that led me down to more books, working with the dragons, like dragon magic, and working with them in a more conscious sense. So I don't have to go on a shamanic journey, guided
Mhm.
meditation to meet them now. You can do that in a more waking sense. If that makes sense.
So, quick question on your dragon higher self. Because I heard you have a dragon higher self. So, some people meet entities and everything, right? But some people just register them as guides per se. So, how did your dragon higher self talk to you that he was your or she was your higher self, and how it was presented to you that he's not just my guide, or she was also my higher self at the same time. So how did that awareness or realization came to you?
Well, the first time would be that first event I talked about,
Mm.
kind of faded into the background a little bit. As big as it was, and so life kind of gets in the way. So it's like big moment. Yes, found myself. That's what I am. And then it's kind of sunk into the background, and it didn't really come back off until about 2016, 2017. And there's a big,
Mhm.
I don't know what happened globally or after the ascension. There's something that reawoke that essence, that dragon essence again. It was like dragon magic, dragon meditation.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? It's like, and going back over my notes from 20 years ago and what I experienced and some of my notes and stuff, I was like, holy shit, this is what's going on now. It's like, how could I have forgotten that? Why did that get forgotten and not used? So it's like, yeah, that totally makes sense. And it's almost like confirmation. So it's like, right, okay, this is right. And then you start meeting other people and other experiences, and you just go, right, okay,
Oh, wow.
something's happening, and all the ascension stuff, and then obviously Dragon Thunder. And it's like, right, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy.
The Dragon
This
Thunder
is who
group.
I am.
Yep.
And they're
So
obviously here for a reason.
well, technically there's all those trigger words, which is it may look like to some as a coincidence, but with the age we are right now, there's no such thing as coincidence. It's just the universe working their way for your sole purpose. And
Sure.
I heard also that you astral travel. Can you tell me more about your journeys and entities that you meet or anything that you have experienced during your astral travels?
Sure. Again, going back to 20 years ago, whenever it was, I could do it fairly randomly,
Mhm.
with a little bit of concentration. And then I think a couple of injuries, stressful life. It was very spontaneous, couldn't really do
Mhm.
it as much. And then started looking back into it a couple of years ago, trying to figure out what was going wrong, why I couldn't do it.
Mm.
It's like Reiki 1 now and 2, and it's like still can't astral travel. It's like, why? So I did more research, and had a couple of experiences where I could do it, but again it was quite hard work to do it. And then I finally found a guy on YouTube randomly. Again, synchronicity.
Yep. Good. No coincidence.
It's obviously just the right time for me to do it for whatever reason, and it just put a couple of. There's literally only 2 things that I was missing to be able to do it at will. So whenever I want to do it, I know I can do it now. And that guy was called Ben Smith. Literally half an hour, just changed a couple of things, and I was there. I can do it.
Oh, wow.
So recently, I went to the Vatican to help clear out some energy down there. As you know, the Vatican holds a lot of artifacts and knowledge that's been trapped underneath. Because the Vatican wasn't always a holy place in terms of Christianity. It's got a history, a pagan history underneath it. Travelled there, helped clear some of the energy there to help re-release that knowledge to humanity. And other people have been doing similar sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Particularly Alessandra, as we all know, from Dragon Thunder. It was her that sort of pointed me in that direction of the Vatican. That was quite an experience. that was quite the adventure. Yeah, that was quite successful. So hopefully that will help things come forth at some point.
Or like some kind of mini missions that you have for your human experience.
Sure.
So right now you can do astral travel again at will?
Now I can, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I will leave the 2 things that you learned for the audience to ponder about. They can hunt you down for it.
Yeah, I can always send you the link or something. Yeah, definitely worth a watch, that video.
Yeah. So because astral travel, I think the initial phases of some people does is they do lucid dreams, right? But since you're already seeing astral travel, so what do you think is the significance of dreams in your spiritual practice or anyone's spiritual practice?
Sure. I don't tend to dream a lot myself. I don't know if that's because I meditate every day or because that's travel. I don't know. But lucid dreams obviously tie into astral projection. Can be pretty much the same thing. One's just obviously doing it consciously, the one you're doing subconsciously, but then you take conscious control. So depending on how you think about lucid dreaming, but it's obviously a very useful tool in developing astral travel further down the line if you can lucid dream. So I definitely encourage people to keep journeys or do lucid dreaming, and then that will hopefully lead to
Astral
being able to
travel.
astral travel. Yeah,
That's cool. So other than doing to do astral travel, now you ventured out because most of the population don't have that experience, so they will say, it's just dreaming everything. But in that sense, I'm sure your perspective of the world changed. So in your definition now, after experiencing astral travel, what do you think is the nature of the soul or your truth about the nature of your soul?
It's a very good question. I think it just gives you a lot of confidence in knowing yourself and your ability. So when I astral travel, I tend to be in dragon form because that's obviously my true essence. This is just a shell, a glove, whatever you want to call it. So it's a massive tool in developing that. When I do astral travel, it's like, this is who I am. I can do this or that. But which is obviously experience because you can go do things that you've never dreamed of doing or been able to do. You can literally travel the world. Sometimes I pop up to the atmosphere to
Just to
sunbathe
view.
or moonbathe.
I do that too sometimes.
So it definitely it's a massive enriching experience because you can get a higher experience or a deeper viewpoint. You can go into the earth. You can visit people or places that you maybe can't afford to do. So I don't have any money. I can't afford to travel the world.
Well, some of
So
us,
to put food on the plate.
yeah, Well, some of
Yeah.
us get the experience or the capacity to astral travel to do off-site grid work as well. So I think that's one of those as well, right? And I
Good.
think I also have some experiences on that one as well, because for me, for I think the soul, oversoul per se, in my time, in my truth, not not spreading to everyone, because everyone's have their own paths and everyone have their own experience, their own truth. Also, they have their own timelines, right? So what I have discovered is that this avatar or vessel is like more like your remote control, and your brain is your antenna, and your oversoul is just putting energy or memory or control over that one, which is you, your soul, your ego, or your entity, to control this body. And that's just a portion of your soul per se, but not the whole thing. It's like a remote control, small remote control car. And if you put your real oversoul, the main soul, energy on, it's like putting a battery, car battery on top of that remote control car, it will smash it, right? So with the current happening in the world today, how can we overcome fear and uncertainty?
Love is always the answer, isn't it?
Hmm? What was
Love
that?
is always the answer.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, not just me, a lot of people saying, you work on yourself. So you work on, you know, you and your demons, your dark side, that negative energy, you release that within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're clear to be happy, to be love, and you spread that, because
Mm-hmm.
emotions are contagious. I work
Mm-hmm.
in the service industry at the moment, in hospitality,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see the moods pass on to people. So if someone comes in, is rude to my colleague or to myself, that can change my mood, and then I can pass that on to someone else.
It's like you radiated it and you magnetize that same energy back. Oh wow, that's
So,
cool.
so it's like what you put out in the universe is what you get back. So I'm quite a positive person. I tend to give out
Mhm.
good vibes most of the
Yeah.
time, unless I get a rude customer. Um, so yeah, working on yourself, that amplifies that, and then it's a massive ripple effect. So if you're happy and you know yourself and you're not stressed, you've got love in your own heart, you naturally pass that on to everyone else. And someone might be having a bad day, you just smile at them, talk to them,
Yeah. They may be probably looking for
and
someone to talk to for quite a while as well too.
sure, and that passes on that little bit, and then they're happy and
Yeah.
not sad, or cheers much is enough, and they can pass it on,
Mm-hmm.
or it elevates them enough.
Yeah.
So you get enough people doing that, that's
Yep.
a huge effect. It's the global consciousness, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you can put that into the grid as well. You program the grid to,
Yep.
for good vibrations. Yeah.
So
So,
yep. Sorry, what was that?
no,
So you're a martial artist, so that's technically a physical thing. But in terms of health, what do you think will be the relationship of spirituality in health?
it's interesting. I think again, sort of working on yourself. It's a more holistic approach. If you're sound of mind, sound health, you know,
Mm-hmm.
working out physically is obviously good for you mentally. That's quite common knowledge. I think we're also getting a lot of, we've got the blue rays, the indigos, we've got the crystal children,
Mm-hmm.
and talking with other Reiki people, like my teacher, who's just a couple of years older than me,
Mm-hmm.
the older generation, and what she's experienced as a teacher to her students like myself, they couldn't dream of doing that, like feeling the energy and all the chakras and stuff, and sort of telepathy and, well, not telepathy, that's not really Reiki, but the next generation abilities have been amplified, or we've been shown the way by the last wave of, the older generation, the indigos, the Blu-rays, so Blu-rays, indigos, and crystal. So we've got the crystal children, and again, they don't necessarily seek Reiki. or healing because they can do it themselves anyway.
Normal phenomena for them. It's like the programming that we have is different than it's like a older model of car than the newer model of car. They have cameras and everything already that we have to install on our own.
They don't need to go and do Reiki or learn it or meditate or well maybe they didn't meditate, but because they've already got it.
Wow.
Not everyone obviously, but there's more and more people coming through, more and more star seeds or crystal children. So I think that's going to have a massive impact in a good way. And hopefully everyone else can work on themselves a little bit and try and get to the same level. But it's definitely going to be interesting in the next couple of years, I think.
Yeah. I even have a premonition, but I couldn't talk about it. But you will see a lot of stuff within 3 years. Big, huge changes. But that's for another time. So since now you're getting guidance and everything from your guides, from your higher self, so how can each of us start to cultivate trust with the divine plan or the guidance that we're getting?
I think you've got to put the work in.
Yeah.
You know, I meditate every day. You know, I work out frequently. You know, I eat healthily and all that. It doesn't matter what you work out. You know,
yeah,
you don't have to do martial arts or anything. You know, but keeping your body and mind healthy, pure. You know, trying to avoid too much of anything keeps those channels open. I think you said, you know, the antenna. And then you can receive the guidance.
So
if you get stressed, if you don't eat healthily, you're going to block it all up. So you need to try and keep some kind of.
So it's like the reflection, right? The universe, right? How you think, speak, and what your beliefs it reflects, right? But there's one analogy where how you treat your body, it reflects your universe as well. So if you overwork your body, your universe say, here, more work. So technically that's more like some kind of that analogy. Also, so on your view or your opinion, where do you think the world is heading? In your timeline, in your preferred timeline, where do you think it's? Because everyone will have their own. Oh, I want to go to the AI war timeline. Oh, I want to go to the me living with AI symbiotically, or some people will go to the only biological timeline or something like that, right? There's multiple timelines that's being created. So in the world or the timeline that you're trying to reach, can you describe that world to me?
I feel hopeful for the future. I've certainly felt a lot of shifts of energy and things seem to have accelerated, you know, people's abilities, including myself. There's a lot of potential, you know. For me, I do like technology. I'm not against it, but I'm definitely more nature loving. So I'd like more of a harmony with technology. So we start shifting away from greed and corporations destroying the planet to
more like consumerism, right?
So we don't have to, you know, destroy all the cities and don't drive cars. Just find something cleaner that works.
Wow.
But certainly, I'd like to bring more magic back, more old school magic. You know, like codes and realms from fairy, unicorn, dragon.
Well, technically, there's a lot of new species popping out right now. There's even new mushrooms, new discoveries of plants and everything. So the world is really shifting to something, and probably sooner or later you will see mythical creatures back. You know,
rather than a mass extinction.
Probably not. Well, technically, there's also, in terms of timelines, there's also a timeline where dinosaurs didn't even get extinct and there's no human on that term. So everything's possible, right? So also, before we end the show, I have some quick questions. So what does it mean to live an authentic life?
Authentic life. I guess it goes back to what you put out to the universe. So inner reality reflects your outer reality. So if you're authentic,
You will
you're going
meet
to have
authentic people.
friends, you're going to have
Yeah.
relationships, you're going to have good synchronicities, you know, you're going to eventually find your way in life, you're going to find your goal because you're being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So it might take time, but if you're not authentic to yourself, that's going to worm itself out into the universe, and you're just going to go down the wrong path, I think. You know,
So
it's going
technically,
to bounce back
if
to you.
you're not authentic, then that means you're, let me say, so when you're authentic, some of your old friends who is not vibrationally aligned with your authentic self will suddenly pop off. Well, technically, not just your friends, maybe your family, your job, and everything. They may pop off, but this may start fear for people. But in that sense, if you see it in a bigger sense that they will pop off to make space for those authentic job, authentic friends that will come in, or authentic family members, or a version of them which is more authentic to be reflected back to you. So I think that is one thing that will help people fear that, oh, they will lose their family members, their friends. But sometimes if it's not vibrationally matched, it doesn't mean you lose them on this timeline. It's just that they go away because they're not serving you with your soul purpose and everything. It's not that they're dying, they're going to die. They're just vibrating out of your field of awareness per se. It's like your friends that you suddenly didn't meet for 20 years, right? You won't remember them until they pop off onto your feed, right? So,
That's very true. Yeah.
so my next question is, after seeing multiple lives, higher selves, dimensionality, multiple dimensions and everything, what do you think is the meaning of life, of your human experience?
Wow. Well, obviously, I can speak on a personal level, because I've explored in past lives to sort of find what I'm doing here. So it does go back a very long time. But for me, you know, for whatever reason, I'm here to that's part of my personal mission, goal in life, if you want. So materially, I don't even have a girlfriend or wife. I don't have much money, but spiritually, I'm very happy. You know, I spent a lot of time developing, finding out why I'm here, and that does tie in with the ascension. You know, I do think I've come here to help protect, and that's what I've done in the past, and it keeps coming through. And hopefully, once things have been protected, we can move into peace
And
hopefully.
expansion. So
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
so technically, in a nutshell, you want to live a better life with compared to the one that you found it. Not sure if I rephrase that properly. It's like how you found it. You're living it in a better version when you leave it, something like that. So
Sure. Yeah.
now you said you have multiple past lives. Now I'm curious. So tell me more. What kind of past lives did you uh, see, or which roles did you play, and how far off is this?
How much time have you got? It might take a while.
Fire away.
Okay. So I did my past life hypnosis with a professional hypnosis back in 2007. That was very good. It's very interesting. So I went into 3 lives with him over about half an hour or so. So the first one, I was some kind of medieval knight.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't speaking English. Wasn't sure where I was. It was like an abandoned castle, but it wasn't in the UK. I was looking around for someone. Second one, I was an Egyptian, or Kemetan, as obviously they call themselves Egyptians. And that came through quite strong. He's like, where are you? And I was like, I knew in my head, I could see it. I was like, it's Egypt. I know exactly where I am. But it wasn't called Egypt, and I couldn't get the words out.
Kemet? I can't remember the word.
Yeah. So just to show how much information you do hold. That was quite interesting. I wasn't in the pyramids or anything like that, unfortunately. And I had 2 jobs. So one, I was like squadron leader. I was in charge of squadron men, fighters, protecting the land. And then when we weren't fighting, I kind of had almost I wasn't a priest, but I had a spiritual aspect or spiritual duties in the temple of some description. And I was a very popular guy. He was a big.
So more like
I
a
was the man
spiritual
about town.
warrior, something like that, or warrior,
Yeah.
priest warrior, something like that.
It was interesting. So obviously, I know a little bit about, Egypt and by watching documentaries and stuff. And obviously, you had priest class and you had warriors. And
Then you're a battle priest.
a little bit, yeah.
More like
Yeah,
a
it's quite
paladin
interesting.
class, they call it in Christianity, right? They have paladins, which is warriors, which for Christianity, right? So tell me more.
And the last one I did with him, which was a huge surprise to me because I'm not Christian by any means. I was actually, this is way back in time. You could feel how old it was. There wasn't buildings or electric or many people about or anything. And this is going to be quite controversial because there's a lot of mixed about this. So I was actually a watcher angel.
Oh, that guy.
I didn't have wings or anything like that. It's very much earth based. I was on earth, and the feeling of that was insane. It was just like a feeling of constant bliss. I could feel all the trees and the grass and the sun. It was just walking along, and I met 3 other watchers in a secluded area, a special meeting of some description. And there's another guy that was in charge. I don't know why. I've explored it a little bit more detail. But yeah, that was a big surprise because that was not what I was expecting with being dragon.
Yeah, no.
I was like, oh, that makes no sense. So I did spend a lot of time researching that. And eventually, if you dig deep enough, there is a connection with angels and dragons. So then I was like, aha, that does actually make sense now. And that felt like my first earthly humanoid incarnation. And I've been here since. That was kind of the start of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's make of that what you will, because I know that's quite a controversial subject to watchers, but it certainly wasn't evil one, put it that way.
There's a lot of everything's neutral until you put a label on it. It's all good.
Yeah,
so on that note, is that
well.
is that because I remember when I offered free higher self sketching, right? I remember the one that came forward because I thought it's the white dragon that's gonna pop off, but suddenly it's the angel with no wings, with a halo, but it's a winged halo. Then I remember drawing him and everything, and it feels cold and his eyes and everything. I think that's the watcher you're talking about. Is that correct?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because I remember he just popped up again and I was like, oh, it's that guy. Okay. So I'll go on, continue.
So obviously I've got Dragon Past Life as well.
Same planet or different?
Different planet.
Okay.
So not Earth-based one. And there, funny enough, I was some kind of guardian.
No.
It's completely different. I've gone into that a few times, different scenarios. So the one closest to when I died in that lifetime, it was kind of dark and twilight and stuff like that. I haven't got the name of the planet for some reason. It just didn't come through. There's a lot going on, a lot of information, and it was quite visually intense. But that time period I explored, trying to find the name of the planet was just, obviously I knew it, like we know Earth. You don't think about it. So I just went with the experience, but I haven't actually got the name of the planet. But there died in battle, protecting, I won't say too much because I'm not sure what it was.
It's
I
okay.
need to do a bit more research.
Yeah.
Maybe over Dragon Souls at some point. Might be enough information for some people to resonate with and go, hang on a second, I know this. but it was on high mountain, almost a crystalline type tower, and there was a very important person inside, another dragon. Me and other dragons were there to protect it, and there was actually some kind of contagion that made other dragons turn against us. We weren't, I'm not saying possessed, but almost like that, and they were almost zombified in a
Mhm.
way.
More like
Um,
everyone's going berserk or something.
Yeah, so contagion, contaminated, that
Mhm.
sort of came across. And I thought that's when I died as a dragon, protecting this important place in the middle of this crystal palace that had huge significance for the planet, with this battle as well with the contagion. Whoever was corruption, that's the one,
Yeah.
corrupting our dragons. And I was given the choice when I died, and some kind of stargate of some description, and way off in the distance there was Gaia, there was Earth.
Wow.
I think I came through on some kind of Orion gate. I do have a connection with Orion, but yeah, that's where I think I came through, and then I've been here since. So watch Egyptian, some kind of medieval knight,
Oh, okay. That's cool.
and then here for whatever reason.
Wow. That's cool. I think I only have one regression that I know of. The rest is higher self. And I think the only one regression I have is that it's off planet. And the planet was destroyed by an asteroid. And it's part of my soul loss and soul retrieval. And anyway, that's another story. So where can people find more about you?
Dragon Thunder would be the best bet.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously safe. You know, you have
Mm-hmm.
to join up to be on there. Yes, Facebook via Dragon Thunder.
I'll put the
And
links
then I
in
know
the notes. Yep.
if you get through Dragon Thunder, I know you're genuine and you're interested in
Mm-hmm.
stuff like this. Yeah.
So other than that, because you're doing Reiki, martial arts, and with your 20 years experience of spirituality, what are the services that you are offering or will be offering in the future?
I'm actually doing a pre-record on the Dragon Summit that's coming
Mm-hmm.
in. And I haven't actually told anyone this yet.
Oh, is it the
This is-
Dragon Summit as well? Or July, I guess. Was it July or
it's
June?
July.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
So
a pre-recorder speaker as well.
excellent. So for mine, I haven't actually told anyone this. So
Oh, there you go.
sharing with you. So for that, I'm planning on doing I guess, some kind of protection lesson would
Mm-hmm.
be kind of the way to describe it. So my guides work with the moon energy a lot,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where they come through strongest. I also work with the elements as well, but my main guide is a lunar dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm planning on doing a protection lesson for the Dragon Thunder, for Ascension in an Orion gate in a henge, Stonehenge, not Thornborough Henge it's called,
Okay.
which actually lines up to the 3 stars of Orion's belt.
Mm-hmm.
And this is local to me, it's only about 15 miles away.
Oh, wow. That's close.
Yeah.
Lucky
Okay,
you.
well, it's an amazing place, and I do go there often just to meditate and spend time there. So obviously I can use my Reiki to hold the energy, to store it, ready to release it whenever
Mhm.
people watch it.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So that's
You
my
are
plans
really
for
there
that.
for a reason. So
Look at
it
that.
has been a pleasure speaking with you. And thank you
And you?
for having me as well. Goodbye.
Yeah, okay.
Goodbye.
Bye for
Thank
now.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm a believer that we have access to all the clairs.
Mm-hmm.